The calmest minds are not born from gentle peace, but from ruthless discipline. This is the paradox few dare to face. Serenity is not always soft, and composure is not always kind. Some men walk into storms and remain unshaken, while others crumble at the first sign of pressure. Why? What makes one man untouchable in chaos, while another loses control in silence? Machiavelli's darkest lesson whispers an answer. Calm is not the absence of turmoil. It is the domination of it. True calm is not passive. It is an act of war against your own weakness. It is forged in restraint, in silence, in the refusal to let emotions dictate your fate. This is not meditation, nor is it comfort. This is command, the ruthless art of mastering the mind until even chaos bends before you. The greatest battles are not fought on open fields, nor in crowded cities. They are fought in silence, inside the chambers of the mind. When fear rises, when anger burns, when anxiety tightens its grip, the mind begins to betray the very man it should serve. A disturbed mind is not an ally. It is a traitor. It hands power to emotions that should remain under command. Modern culture has made this worse. Society repeats the soothing lie. Let your feelings out. Express everything. Vent, release, and you will be free. But freedom does not come from surrender. When you let it all out, you do not calm the storm, you feed it. A man who shouts to release anger only deepens his fury. A man who drowns his sadness in endless words strengthens the chains that bind him. The mind grows weaker each time it is trained to obey emotion rather than command it. Chaos outside does not break you. The storm of society, the pressure of others, the uncertainty of the future. None of this has the power to shatter a man who governs himself. It is the chaos inside that destroys. The battlefield of life proves this again and again. Two men may stand in the same fire. One walks out unburned, the other collapses in ashes. The difference is never the fire. It is the way the mind responds to the flame. The truth is brutal. Most people are ruled, not by their will, but by their emotions. They call it being authentic, when in fact it is submission. They call it being honest with themselves, when in reality they are puppets moved by impulses they cannot resist. Fear whispers and they obey. Anger shouts and they explode. Anxiety trembles and they retreat. They think this is natural, but it is slavery. Machiavelli would remind us, men are not undone by pressure, they are undone by their failure to master pressure. A king may be surrounded by enemies, but if his mind does not falter, his kingdom still stands. A soldier may face death, but if his mind remains calm, his blade stays steady. The disturbed mind does not collapse because the world is unbearable. It collapses because it has never been trained to obey its master. Your mind betrays you because you have not yet taken command of it. You believe emotions are allies, when in truth they are rivals waiting to seize control. You believe release will bring peace, when it only deepens your chains. The battlefield is not outside. The enemy is not the world. The enemy is the storm within, and until you learn to dominate it, you will always live at its mercy. From childhood, people are told a soothing story. If you want peace, seek comfort. Wrap yourself in distraction, in entertainment, in softness, and the storm inside you will fade. Sounds gentle, even logical. Modern life repeats the message endlessly. Take a break, indulge yourself, express every feeling, and calm will follow. But this story is a beautiful lie, and one of the most dangerous. Comfort does not strengthen the mind. It weakens it. When you retreat into distraction, endless scrolling, music so loud it drowns thought, or conversations that spill feelings without purpose, you are not calming the mind, you are numbing it. And what is numb today comes back sharper tomorrow. The disturbed mind does not disappear. It waits, gathering strength, ready to return the moment the comfort fades. Comfort is not a cure. It is only a pause, and often a costly one. Even the illusion of venting is part of this lie. People believe that pouring out their emotions will empty them, like draining poison from the body. Yet every time anger is vented, the pattern of anger grows stronger. Every time fear is voiced without restraint, fear deepens its roots. Venting is not release, it is rehearsal. And each rehearsal makes the disturbance more powerful. History shows this with brutal clarity. Leaders who clung to comfort were the first to collapse when tested. Soldiers who relied on distraction to ease their dread cracked under fire, while those who trained their minds to remain silent in the face of terror stood firm. Peace born from comfort is fragile. It shatters at the first blow. Peace born from control is unbreakable, because it is forged in discipline, not indulgence. The lie of comfort seduces because it feels immediate. Distraction is easy. Silence is hard. Entertainment is quick. Self-mastery is slow. People reach for softness because they believe strength will come later. But later never arrives. Each act of escape deepens dependence, until the mind cannot stand on its own. Instead of learning to command emotion, people learn to flee from it. And the more they flee, the more fragile they become. The brutal truth is that peace is not built through comfort. It is built through control. The man who can sit in silence with his emotions, refusing to feed them, is the one who grows strong. The man who denies himself escape, who rejects softness when his mind screams for it, discovers calm that no storm can shake. This is the path Machiavelli would have called ruthless, but necessary, training the mind to obey, not to beg. The world will keep offering you comforts, distractions, and escapes, whispering that they are peace. But the true ruler of his mind knows better. Peace is not a gift. It is not a pillow. It is a throne carved from discipline. And only the one who commands himself may sit upon it. Machiavelli lived in a world of shifting loyalties, constant betrayal, and rulers who could lose their thrones overnight. In such a world, one trait separated the powerful from the powerless: their ability to remain calm in chaos. He observed princes who never showed panic, even when their kingdoms were collapsing around them. Their calm was not natural. It was deliberate, a mask carefully crafted and worn to maintain authority. To appear unshaken was to remain untouchable. To display fear was to invite rebellion. Machiavelli understood that calm itself could be weaponized. It was not simply an inner feeling. It was a performance. A ruler who walked into a council with a steady expression, speaking slowly and sparingly, inspired confidence in allies and fear in enemies. Soldiers looked to such a man and believed he had already calculated every move. Rivals doubted their own strength when faced with someone who showed no visible cracks. Calm became a mirror that reflected weakness back onto others. The weak do the opposite. They let their emotions spill through every gesture, every word, every glance. Anger erupts in their tone. Fear trembles in their voice. Anxiety leaks from their restless movements. By exposing their turmoil, they hand their enemies a weapon. A single moment of visible weakness can undo years of work, because once people see a leader unravel, they no longer trust his command. Emotion may feel authentic, but authenticity without control breeds contempt. The strong understand the brutal truth. Calm is not the absence of turmoil. It is the domination of it. It is the art of carrying chaos within while projecting stillness without. Machiavelli's princes were not saints untouched by fear. They were strategists who mastered the performance of composure. Their calm was a mask, and behind that mask they planned, calculated, and struck when the time was right. This is the dark mirror Machiavelli holds up. Calm is not a virtue. It is a tool. It is not born from peace but from power. A man who can keep his face steady while his enemies plot against him controls the frame of the encounter. A man who appears composed while his world burns still commands obedience, because people follow the appearance of stability more than the reality of truth. Calm is, in this sense, a throne. It elevates the one who holds it above the storm of common men. It silences dissent, not by force but by suggestion, because people cannot rebel against what looks unbreakable. To be calm in chaos is to hold the minds of others hostage, to trap them in the belief that you cannot be defeated. This is why Machiavelli's calm is dark, even ruthless. It is not the stillness of peace. It is the stillness of power. The most dangerous storms are the ones that roar inside the mind. Fear screams, anger surges, anxiety rattles every thought. Most people respond the only way they know how. They speak. They shout when they are angry, confess when they are afraid, and pour out their turmoil to anyone willing to listen. But here lies the fatal mistake. Emotions do not weaken when expressed. They strengthen. Each word given to fear feeds it. Each outburst of anger sharpens its edge. Each confession of anxiety deepens its roots. Expression becomes fuel, and the disturbance grows until it consumes its master. Machiavelli would call this folly. The ruler of his own mind does not waste energy on expression. He retreats into silence, not as an escape, but as a form of ruthless command. Silence is not emptiness. Silence is starvation. It denies the emotion the nourishment it needs to grow. An unspoken fear begins to wither. An unvoiced rage begins to shrink. By refusing to give your emotions language, you strip them of their power. Generals understood this on the eve of battle. When the drums of war echoed across the field, lesser men broke into nervous chatter, desperate to release the tension. The greatest commanders did the opposite. They withdrew into silence, their stillness radiating composure to their troops. That silence was not weakness. It was discipline, forged through training, a signal that they had already conquered themselves before facing the enemy. The soldiers saw their leader's composure and drew strength from it. By commanding his own mind through silence, the general commanded the minds of thousands. The same principle applies to daily life. In arguments, silence unsettles the aggressor more than retaliation ever could. In moments of anxiety, refusing to speak or dramatize your fear prevents it from multiplying. In despair, holding silence instead of pouring your pain outward preserves your strength. The disturbed mind craves release, but release is deception. What it truly needs is mastery. Silence is the iron cage in which emotions are locked until they weaken and die. The brutal truth is this: silence is not escape. Escape runs away from the storm. Silence sits in its center and refuses to move. Escape leaves the mind unchanged, ready to be disturbed again. Silence reshapes the mind, forcing it to obey, to bend, to submit to its master's will. This is why silence is ruthless. It does not comfort, it conquers. To command the mind through silence is to declare war on your own weakness. Every unspoken word is a victory. Every withheld reaction is a battle won. And when the storm fades, what remains is not fragility disguised as peace, but power disguised as calm. The man who can sit in silence with his emotions does not just survive disturbance. He annihilates it. Silence begins within, but once mastered, it radiates outward like an aura. A man who commands his inner storm creates a field of power around him, one that others cannot help but feel. This is the predator's stillness, the presence that freezes others before a single word is spoken. When chaos rages and everyone else scrambles, the man who remains calm becomes the center of gravity. He does not need to shout or demand attention. His stillness does the work for him. People underestimate how contagious emotion is. Panic spreads like fire. In crowds, a single scream can send hundreds running. Anxiety multiplies across a room when one person begins to lose control. But the reverse is also true. Composure spreads as well. The presence of one man who does not flinch under pressure unsettles the fearful and steadies the hesitant. When others are shaken, the calm man becomes unshakable in their eyes. They begin to orbit him, trusting his steadiness more than their own thoughts. This is why predators dominate prey without rushing. A lion can sit silently in the grass, its body still, its eyes fixed. That stillness paralyzes the herd more than noise ever could. The prey senses something unnatural, something dangerous, and becomes frozen, caught in the silent gravity of the predator. Humans are no different. The one who radiates stillness in crisis becomes the figure everyone unconsciously defers to. Consider the leader in a collapsing room. Others shout, argue, and scramble for control. He sits back, composed, eyes steady, movements minimal. His silence is louder than their noise. Eventually, the room bends toward him, because people crave stability when chaos reigns. His stillness communicates what no speech can. I am in control. Cannot be broken. Follow me or fall apart. Contrast this with the weak. They show their fear immediately. Their voices rise. Their gestures shake. Their bodies leak panic into the air. Just as calm spreads, panic spreads faster. The weak infect others with their instability until no one can think clearly. But the ruthless few invert this contagion. They use their inner silence as a weapon, projecting composure so steady it becomes unbearable for others to ignore. The dark truth is that the still mind does not only control itself, it controls the room. People instinctively defer to whoever appears least shaken. This instinct is ancient, rooted in survival. In times of danger, the group turns to the figure who seems unafraid, because fear signals weakness, while stillness signals hidden power. Machiavelli would call this theater, but theater with real consequences. Stillness is not passive. It is domination expressed without words. The predator's stillness is the unspoken claim. I am the one who decides what happens next. And in that moment, everyone else, knowingly or not, accepts the silent command. The world preaches a dangerous idea. Let it out. Vent your feelings. Say whatever is on your mind and you'll feel better. This advice is comforting, but it is poison to authority. Venting may give temporary relief, but it robs a man of his power. The moment you unleash every emotion, you hand the world a clear map of your weaknesses. Anger shows where you can be provoked. Fear shows where you can be pressured. Frustration shows where you can be broken. What feels like freedom is, in truth, exposure. Leaders who fall into this trap destroy themselves. History is filled with men who ruled with strength but lost everything in a single moment of unrestrained emotion. A general who lashes out in rage loses the trust of his soldiers. A ruler who vents his fear in public signals that collapse is near. Even in daily life, a manager who shouts at his team is not respected. He is remembered as unstable. People may obey his orders in the moment, but they stop trusting his judgment. Authority dies not in silence, but in noise. The contrast is striking. The man who withholds his reaction, who refuses to vent, forces the world to adapt to him. His silence makes others question themselves, while his restraint preserves the illusion of unshakable control. When you do not reveal your emotions, others cannot predict you. They become cautious, careful, even deferential. In withholding expression, you gain leverage because mystery breeds respect, and restraint builds fear. This does not mean never speaking. It means never speaking in reaction. Expression under control becomes strategy. Expression without control becomes self-destruction. A sharp, measured word after long silence carries the weight of a hammer. A sudden decision from a calm man unsettles rivals more than 1,000 loud threats. The difference lies in timing. The disciplined man speaks to shape the battlefield. The weak man vents to relieve himself, and in doing so loses command. The brutal truth is simple. Expression may feel good, but suppression commands power. The world does not reward authenticity of every passing emotion, it rewards control. Your feelings may demand release, but authority demands silence. Every time you vent, you relieve your own tension but strengthen someone else's position. Every time you withhold, you endure discomfort but grow in dominance. This is the ruthless trade-off between comfort and power. Machiavelli would remind us. A prince cannot afford the luxury of uncontrolled expression. His silence is not a burden, it is his armor. To vent is to crack the armor and reveal the flesh beneath. To remain composed is to make the armor impenetrable. And in a world where perception is power, the man who never vents becomes the man no one dares to test. Every man carries a battlefield inside him. It is not made of swords or fire, but of instincts clashing against discipline. Fear rushes forward, demanding retreat. Anger surges, demanding revenge. Anxiety whispers, demanding surrender. These are the armies of chaos, and they march daily across the mind. Most men lose this battle without ever realizing it. They believe they are making choices, when in truth their instincts have already chosen for them. The disturbed mind is not weak by nature, it is weak because it has been conquered from within. Calm is not the natural state of man. It is forged, hammered, and sharpened in conflict. Each time discipline refuses to bend to instinct, order begins to take shape. The weak hope for peace to arrive by chance. The strong create it through ruthless choice. Calm is not given. Calm is taken. It is seized by the man who decides his fear will not speak. His anger will not move his hand. His anxiety will not guide his steps. Machiavelli understood this hidden war. He saw rulers surrounded by enemies who still stood unbroken because they had mastered the battlefield within. Their composure in the face of betrayal and danger was not luck, it was discipline. They had already subdued their inner armies long before they commanded soldiers in the field. Control begins within, or it does not exist at all. A man who cannot rule his own mind cannot rule anything else. The metaphor is brutal but true. Your mind is both your kingdom and your enemy. If you let chaos govern it, you will kneel in every outer battle. If you bring order to it, no enemy can truly break you. Mastery of the mind is not soft. It is ruthless. It means denying instinct its easy victories. It means building walls where impulses try to flood in. It means enforcing law where chaos tries to reign. This is why calm feels so rare in the modern world. Few are willing to rule their minds with such iron command. And yet, the reward is unmatched. A man who masters the battlefield within cannot be shaken by storms outside. He can walk through crisis and remain steady, not because the crisis is small, but because his inner kingdom does not collapse. While others scream, he plans. While others rage, he calculates. While others tremble, he acts. His calm becomes unbreakable precisely because it was born in war against himself. The dark truth is this: outer wars are won or lost long before they begin. They are decided by the state of the commander's mind. Master the battlefield within, and no outer war can break you. Lose it, and no amount of weapons, wealth, or allies will save you. Order or chaos, the choice is always yours. But only one leads to power. Philosophy becomes power only when it is lived. The ruthless calm that Machiavelli admired is not a theory to admire from afar. It is a weapon to wield in daily life. But to wield it correctly, it must be applied with precision. Used wisely, it makes you a force others lean toward. Used poorly, it can make you cold, detached, and alone. At work, the ruthless calm is the difference between being drowned out and being heard with authority. Most meetings are chaos. People rushing to speak, to defend, to prove themselves. Their noise cancels itself out. The one who waits, silent, still, unshaken, commands the room without trying. When he finally speaks, every word cuts deeper because it is rare. Precision is more powerful than volume. To practice this, hold back when others react emotionally. Breathe, remain still, and speak only when the storm has passed. Your words will carry the weight of stone in a sea of dust. In relationships, ruthless calm separates the strong from the fragile. Arguments, accusations, emotional storms. Most people mirror them instantly. When one raises their voice, the other raises theirs higher. But the man who refuses to mirror, who anchors himself in silence, destabilizes the storm. His partner may rage louder at first, desperate to pull him into the chaos, but over time his restraint forces calm into the space. This does not mean coldness or neglect. It means choosing not to be swept away. To remain calm is to remain in control. And the one who controls the emotional rhythm of the relationship ultimately controls its direction. In society, ruthless calm protects against manipulation. Propaganda, media panic, social pressure, all thrive on reaction. The more instantly people respond, the more easily they are controlled. The man who refuses to react instantly, who sits in silence while others rush to judgment, is free. By delaying reaction, he escapes the trap of being herded with the crowd. This is how you protect yourself from the manufactured storms of culture. Do not lend your emotions to them. Observe. Wait. Then choose with reason rather than impulse. Yet there is danger. Ruthless calm is power, but if misused, it becomes isolation. A man who never expresses warmth, who hides always behind silence, turns his fortress into a prison. Authority must be balanced with humanity. Use calm as your anchor, but let others feel your presence, not your absence. Silence is a weapon but also a shield, and if you never lower it, no one will ever draw close. The practical truth is this: ruthless calm can transform your work, your relationships, and your place in society. It makes you a center of gravity while others spin in chaos. But like any weapon, it must be wielded with judgment. Control the rhythm, but do not abandon connection. The point is not to kill emotion, it is to command it. Throughout history, the weak have sought peace in comfort, distraction, and release. They believed that speaking their fears, venting their rage, or drowning their thoughts in pleasure would free them. But as we have seen, comfort weakens. It makes the mind soft, dependent, and fragile. True calm is never found in escape. It is built in silence, through ruthless refusal to feed the storms inside. Silence strengthens because it denies chaos its voice. Calm commands because it radiates authority outward, unsettling panic and shaping perception. Calm is not light. Light dazzles and blinds, but it fades. Calm is shadow, thick, unyielding, and absorbing. It does not compete with chaos. It swallows it. Just as the strongest rulers wore composure like armor, the man who learns ruthless calm wears shadow as his cloak. He moves through the world unshaken, not because the storms avoid him, but because they cannot pierce him. His presence bends others, not through volume, but through stillness. The shadow of calm is terrifying because it cannot be read. Those who face it wonder, is he afraid? Is he furious? Is he broken? But nothing leaks out. They are left to project their own weakness onto the figure who refuses to reveal himself. In this way, the calm man does not simply master himself. He manipulates the minds of others. His silence becomes their mirror, reflecting their instability while preserving his authority. Machiavelli's darkest lesson is not that calm is gentle. It is that calm is ruthless. It is the discipline to starve fear of its words, to cage anger before it escapes, to suffocate anxiety in silence. It is the throne upon which the mind sits when all else around it trembles. To rule others, you must first rule yourself. To rule yourself, you must first conquer your mind. And the mind is not conquered through comfort, but through command. The final truth is simple but haunting. The one who commands his mind commands all else. No army, no crisis, no betrayal can truly break the man who has already subdued the battlefield within. The storms of life will always come. They will rage, they will threaten, they will seek to undo you. But if your calm is ruthless, if your silence is absolute, you will not move. The storm will exhaust itself against you, and you will remain. Master ruthless calm, and storms will break around you while you remain unmoved.